Everybody, it's a very sad day. Me and Lauren did this. This is our second time doing this episode because I think Mercury is still retrograding, so we might be doing it for a third time. God, I'm knocking on everything I own.
God, no.
Please,
all the
no.
wood, I will hit it.
I mean, we had sound effects on the last episode. We had like clips.
Oh my God,
playing.
y'all.
It was, I literally at the end of the episode, I was like, Lauren, this is like one of the best episodes we've done. And then Lauren like comes to me later and she's like, oh, by the way. But you know what though? Listen, we're moving forward. What we are about to record is going to be the best episode we've ever done because we are finally doing it, guys. We are finally, wait. We got real Kurt, ladies and gentlemen. We got real Kurt. He's here. He's back. He's in studio right now, ladies and gentlemen. No, he's not actually here because he's not real. Oh,
he's here every time we do an episode, just like Kieran Gillen listens to every single episode, and we'll never know about it.
He's in our hearts forever. In our hearts forever. So yeah, like welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Simply Amazing, the best #1 Nightcrawler podcast in the entire world. And if there is a second Nightcrawler podcast out there, you're probably pretty great too. But you know what? Then I'm going to add an extra caveat. The #1 Nightcrawler podcast in the world, run by two girls whose names both start with L.
It's true. We got the double L's going on. And listen, look, if you have another Nightcrawler podcast out there and we don't know you, we should become friends. Like, what the hell?
But if you're out there and your names are like, I don't know, Laurel and Letitia, don't go making a Nightcrawler podcast because ours is going to still be the best for girls with names that start with L. Okay?
You know what? Maybe we'll just have to make more room on it. We'll be the L podcast. So only people that have a name that starts with the letter L can be a part of the team. It's very exclusive.
Oh, girl, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do about Anna though? And she honorary L.
It's Kurt's unofficial publicist. Like, we have to have her regardless. She's got the VIP exclusive, you know.
All right, well, we are so excited to be here. We are going to be talking about Immortal X-Men #7. I am Lisa, aka the OG Nocturne, and with me today is the gorgeous, fabulous. I see her. She right now, half the screen is Lauren and half the screen is that absolutely stunning Mark Brooks art from the cover. Oh my God, that man, Mark Brooks, that man, his art is.
Come on the pod whenever you want. Just let us know. I will free up my schedule for yours. I mean, we can do a whole episode just talking about this cover. I mean, Mark Brooks, if you guys don't know him and you're listening to this podcast, you should check out all his other work. He is brilliant. But I could just talk about this cover alone for an entire episode. So like,
I have a beautiful Mark Brooks commission that I got done like 15 years ago, or maybe closer to 20 years ago. It's a Nocturne, so I'll have to share it sometime. But yes, so we are here to talk about Immortal X-Men #7, aka the Kurt issue, aka literally everything I've needed for the past like 25 years when it comes to Nightcrawler.
It's true. And I've been so thrilled to see the response of other people, even if they're not like, they like Kurt, but they're not like the #1 Kurt stands like we are. And all of you lovely, Simply Amazing listeners obviously are. But I've been seeing so many people that picked up this issue and, you know, in the last week or two after it came out, be like, oh my God, this is real comics. I'm like, yeah, exactly. It is. Thank you.
Well, we finally have our guy being the hero he truly is. And
yes.
It makes so much sense that if the only way to save the world is to prove the world is worth saving, he's the one who's going to do it. Like, you know what I mean? He's the one who's going to be able to somehow prove, well, he might not be able to prove the world's worth saving because, you know, now they're going to, you know, obviously try to kill the Celestial, but So, I mean, the way the book starts out is all about him he always tries to look on the sunny side of life, right? Always look on the bright side of life. Yes, so he is always on the sunny side. He always looks on the bright side. And that's one of the most endearing, lasting facts about Kurt. That's one of the things about him that makes him such a compelling character, I think, to most of us, is that he's a character who has every reason to hate humanity and everyone in it. You know, like he grew up looking so different from everybody. And it's not like he grew up looking different from everybody and everybody was like, we love you anyway. I mean, the circus did, and he had his family, but outside of that, he was hated. As you can see, when he was, found by Xavier and brought to the X-Men, he was being chased by a mob, and that's not the first or last mob he's been chased by. So, he has every reason to have given up on humanity and humans in general, but he doesn't. He believes in the goodness that is in all of our hearts, regardless of what we've done or who we are. He believes there is a seed of goodness in all of us that we can tap into and become the best people that we can possibly be. And that's one of the things I've always loved about him. That's one of the reasons I think that I connected so deeply with him when I first, started getting into this. And the first couple pages are just great of him kind of trying to convince the Quiet Council, that we have a chance here. And of course, everyone else being like, actually, no, we don't have a chance here.
And
let's
listen,
make a bet.
Kurt, it's good here because I agree with you. One of the things is that Kurt sees the hope and the good when others don't, but sometimes reality still bites you in the ass, right? Like, you can't always have those great moments where it's like, yeah, we can do this, humanity, and then humanity comes through. That doesn't always happen, but the good news is that we also get to see that Kurt, what makes him an even better hero than just, oh yeah, I believe in hope and stuff like Superman and Supergirl do and all that stuff, but like, he goes a step further in this, and so he is the head of the charge in figuring out what to do now, because now even his own, optimism has been shattered, and he's so used to having it. Everybody else is in the dumps and everything. He says, okay, well, shit, we still got to do something, right? And we get to see that happen. So it's that balance between a reality check and still being optimistic and still, I'm going to be the hero. I'm going to help people. And I just love, my first favorite moment in this issue is when he nabs Destiny and then
I knew
her.
I knew you were going to bring that one up. I knew it.
It's coming. It has to come up because listen, guys, listen. He's actually finally on panel now, called Destiny his stepmom, which we were right. We manifested it, y'all. It's another simply amazing manifestation. Can you believe?
Yeah, we did talk about the manifestations in our last episode too. Yeah, it is another manifestation. And first of all, I want to say that her response should have been like, bitch, I'm not your stepmother. I literally gave birth to you.
Yeah, I am your mother. Facts.
I am your mother.
Yeah, who needs I am your father? It's 2022. It's I am your mother.
Exactly. So there's that, which I feel, so I was at New York Comic Con a couple weeks ago, and I met Chris Claremont, and we are going to do a live show soon, and we're going to talk about Chris Claremont and my experience meeting him and this crazy fucking stupid thing that happened that is hilarious. I have a great Chris Claremont story I'm super excited to share. And so one of the things we talked about or mentioned was, I was like, I think it's possible that they're actually going to do that retcon, that Destiny is actually Kurt's mom and Mystique is Kurt's father, blah, blah, blah. And he doesn't believe it. He's like, no, I don't think so. He goes so far in his mind, as believing that Rogue and Kurt are actually full-blooded siblings, not just adopted. Love it. Oh yeah. Like, I actually love it too, because I mean, first of all, genetics are wild and do crazy things. Mm-hmm. So,
well, especially with Mystique shape-shifting. What form was she in at the time? I mean, come on. Could that not change? Like, what the baby that she creates is like if she's in one form, and because her DNA can literally change, correct? She can alter her DNA.
So here's the thing. I do not believe she can alter her DNA, because there is a shapeshifter called Courier from the Fabian DiCiesa Gambit series, who I actually loved. Courier. Courier was a very Alistair Stewart type character, where like he really wasn't a hero and he was scared of everything all the time, but he still, did what the heroes needed him to do. I love Courier, but so Courier specifically can change his/her DNA, because I believe they left off Courier was now a woman. But But Mystique can't change her DNA per se. But she can change her form. And like, listen, this is freaking X-Men comics. Like, who cares? I always say, like, if we're arguing about what's reality, just remember that there's a guy who can shoot laser beams out of his eyes. So who fucking cares about reality? You know,
It's
it
true.
could be anything they want it to be.
And those laser beams are like from a whole other dimension. It's just like pew pew lasers. It's like it's a concussive dimension and blah blah blah. Like it's a whole thing. Like absolutely.
Well, I just love the idea that see, the thing is, I don't know who's older, Kurt or Rogue, but I love the idea that like if Kurt was born first and then Rogue came along and then Mystique was like, the fuck? My last kid was blue. What the fuck? And I could just see Mystique like on the slide doing a quick little paternity test. Like, I trust Destiny, but like, what the fuck? Where'd this white kid come from? Like, what the fuck? Yeah. I actually want to say that I want to throw my hat in the ring, and I want to throw this in the ring, right? How about this? They're not just siblings. They're twins. Marvel loves twins. That. Give us more twins, Marvel.
I mean, listen, as long as that doesn't mean Marvel does weird shit with them, because Marvel also does not okay things with a lot of their twins, i.e. Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, just as an example. So, well,
to be fair,
I don't want to give Marvel ammo for that shit.
To be fair, Marvel has done shit to the characters, but the relationship has always been intact, and the relationship has always been like amazing between like there's
well, that's what I'm saying though. Sometimes they make the relationship get a little too much, and it's like,
yeah,
don't do that. No.
I am a huge fan of Wanda and Pietro's relationship, not from Ultimate. Let's make that clear. But I just love the bond they have together, and they're just like they in some ways they're like literally like two sides of the same coin kind of. But I also love about their relationship is like Pietro has every reason to be like super jealous of Wanda, because all he fucking wants is Magneto's attention, and Magneto is always like, look at your sister. How fucking great is your sister? Like, she's the best. Like, she killed all the mutants, but you know what? I still like her better than you. So yeah. But going back to the Kurt and Rogue of it all, you know, I mean, Claremont has been sowing the seeds of this for the longest time, even as recently as X-Men Forever, I think it was, where he had them swap powers, and it was like a weird thing where it only worked for them. And then when they swapped powers, like the only person Kurt could touch was Rogue. Like, he couldn't touch anyone else, which again, it's his fucking sister. But I guess that doesn't mean anything because he fucks his sisters, so who cares? But you know, like it just, yeah, I can see it. I can see that Claremont was definitely heading in that direction, and that's what he wanted for sure. And I'm behind it. Make it happen. Make it so.
Right?
Marvel, make it so.
Absolutely. And
all right.
Anyway, so that was just so fun seeing the fact that, hey, it's actually acknowledged on page and said by Kurt that she is a parental figure to him. So it's not everything yet, but it is a good first step towards getting rid of retconning the dreaded Draco. That, like, I don't know why we still, it's like the Old Testament that needs to be thrown out. Like, enough's enough, guys. Enough is enough.
I like that analogy. It's the Old Testament of Kurt. Get the fuck out. No, done.
It is.
Done.
It's the Old Testament, and we don't do that here anymore. Absolutely not. Get it out.
Oh my God. And he's had his second coming. So the Old Testament's gone. It's done. He's had his second coming. He came back. He came back to life. Done. Done. It's
perfect.
Over.
Done. It's law. We've decided that. I love that. And so yeah, throughout the issue, we see him kind of, you know, give more background, I guess, to the issues that happened in Judgment Day number 5. Because we saw, if you read that issue before this one, because I think it came,
which you should, because that's a great issue too.
Yeah, and it came out a week earlier, so like you might as well. But it just gives more background to how that plan came about that we see become implemented. And I mean, God, just all these panels with like him bamfing and flipping around and being acrobatic, and then, you know, hanging out with Magic, getting Magic's help, Ileana, and then of course
getting Steve's help,
of course. Listen, I feel like at this point I need to find somebody to help me write a like whole thesis about how Steve and Kurt are just as in just the perfect heroes. They're everything I want. I love that character. I don't know what character trope they are, but they are both that same trope, and I love them.
Well, they're just like everybody's buddy, you know? Like, they're everybody's friend. I think when you think about it, I mean, Steve grew up in a totally different time than everybody else. Kurt grew up in a totally different type of, like, I mean, he grew up in a circus in like super rural Germany. You know what I mean? They have that. I mean, I feel like they have a connection in that way, but they're also Steve. Also, I believe Steve is Catholic. Like he's not like super. He's not like Kurt Catholic level Catholic, but like he's got faith, and Kurt has faith. Kurt understands symbolism. Kurt understands the importance of symbolism, which is why he chooses that Steve has to come back and do this. I just want to say, like, I mentioned, I posted this on Twitter yesterday. This is the most important Kurt has been to the Marvel Universe I can't think of a time where he has been this integral to the main plot of a large event in the Marvel Universe. Like, this is huge, and it's not even like that he's integral. No, it's not just that he's integral. He is running the show. He came up with a plan. Like, literally everybody else has given up and has no idea what the fuck to do. And he has come up with a plan that he believes is gonna save them all. And I believe it's gonna save them all, because otherwise, well, there goes Marvel. I mean, what are you gonna do if Earth's gone? You're not gonna really have any characters to write about. So I think that is so phenomenal. And he's the one to do it, because the fact of the matter is everybody else has already kind of given up in their own head, because they're like, we can't kill it, and we can't prove, and they all are so jaded with humanity and with everything. They're like, there's no way on an Earth where there are serial killers and there are people who do awful things, and that we can prove that we are worth it. But Kurt is like, you know what? I think the good outweighs the bad 100%, and I'm going to find a way to do it. And he does, or he's trying to. And it's an enormous task to take on, because it involves the deaths of many, many people, which they hope to bring back, but there's no guarantee. Like, Hope is very clear when she says, I'm going to do my best to bring you all back, but that doesn't mean they're all going to come back. So that's it's an enormous weight on Kurt's shoulders. But the thing is it's an enormous weight on his shoulders, but it's also like, there's such, the stakes are, you try or you die, and you're going to die anyway. Right. So the stakes are high, but it's like, try anything at this point, because if you do nothing, you're going to die. And if we do something, we're probably still going to die. So why not try everything you possibly can?
Yeah, no, I think it's just so well done. And, when he's putting the plan together, we see it break, they kind of fast forward through Judgment Day 5 events through this process, right? We see the teams go out, we see them die, we see the others stay behind, we see Kurt come back. And of course we get a nice naked image of him. Mm-hmm. Give me more, Marvel. Please.
Listen, I'm officially working on the 2023 Sexy Men Coming Out of Eggs calendar. So
I love it.
It's coming. It's coming. Because
I'm so excited.
This issue was full of it. I mean, actually, no, I won't say it was full of it, because Exodus can go suck an egg. But Kurt and Steve, both coming out those fucking eggs.
Suck an egg. That's hilarious.
I'm all about it.
I know, and I'm love it. I'm so excited to see how the calendar turns out. Some other moments I like that were, in between all this, when people are knowing they're gonna have to die, things like that. I love the panels where we see Kurt like threaten the shit out of Sinister, like sword and everything, arm to the throw. And, even Sinister's like, this is a different side of you, Mr. Wagner. I like it. And it's like, get off, Sinister. It's our man. Yeah. Get out of here. But then, of course, the next page, I'm sobbing my eyes out, because we're having to watch Mystique and Irene die together.
Oh,
and
my God,
Mystique is like, okay, Mystique, that woman that's all like the crazy, like, psychopath borderline that isn't afraid to like kill anybody, and she doesn't give a shit. She's here nuzzling Destiny's shoulder and shit. And Destiny is all like, close your eyes, my love. You do not wish to see this. I'm like, oh my God. I'm in the corner.
It is a beautiful little scene. It reminds me of that scene in Deep Impact at the end where like the father and daughter are like hugging on the beach when the tidal wave is coming. And it's like, oh my God. But yeah, it's very sweet. It's very vulnerable. You can see that in both characters. I think you make a good point when you say like Mystique like has never really cared in the past, or, she's always kind of been, she's never feared death as much in the past, but I think in the past she never had as much to live for because Destiny was gone. So now it's like, I finally have her back, and we are finally like have this place where we can be and love, and it's being taken away again with no guarantee. And again, Destiny, they're promising to bring back people, but Hope was kind of clear that she's going to do her best, but there's no guarantees. the other thing I want to point out is, so Kurt seems to be the first person to really realize that Sinister has something up his sleeve. Like, Kurt seems to be the first person who's like, what the fuck is going on with this guy? This guy is not nearly as worried as he should be that we're all going to die in like a matter of hours. I mean, he doesn't go very far with it, but I like that finally people are picking up on like, there's something going on behind the scenes with this guy and we need to look closer. And I want to mention too that what this issue illustrates so brilliantly, that all of us Nightcrawler fans have been screaming for fucking decades, is that Kurt is a master team member. He's a master team leader and he's a master tactician, and he's very good at not just, you know, giving orders and leading a team, but knowing the strengths of the people on his team and how to utilize them all best, right? So the perfect example is what he does with Illyana. Like, Kurt's a teleporter. And years ago, I don't know if you guys remember, there was a whole issue where he left the X-Men because he felt like he wasn't a good enough teleporter as Magic and Pixie, and I'm going to go run away to Germany. It was kind of entertaining episode, actually. It was the one where that girl is like in love with him and makes a museum about him. But still, the reason he left the X-Men was stupid. Like, what do you mean you're not a good enough teleporter and these other chicks are better than you? Number one, women are better than men at everything. I'm going to say it right there. Come at me, Twitter, okay? And if you don't know I'm being slightly facetious, then just still come at me. I don't care. Like, whatever. Number one. Number two, he's never been that kind of person who's like looked at someone else's goal, like strengths, and been like jealous or anything. So I didn't appreciate that part of it. But here he knows Magic's teleportation power is what is going to be useful in what he needs to do over his own specific power. So he has her, like, it makes a lot of sense too, because as an acrobat in the circus back in the day, you know, you have to work as a team and you have to work as one unit. Otherwise, you know, anything like that, acrobatics, dance, anything where you're working with different people, you have to work as one unit. You have to always be anticipating what the person next to you is doing or what's going to happen next. Otherwise, it could be catastrophic. So it makes so much sense that he would be such a great team leader and be able to, you know, pull them together and figure out who's got what strengths and what to do. Thank you, Kieran Gillen. Thank you so much. Come on the pod.
Seriously, we're gonna shout you out and until one day some buddy of yours messages you and is like, bruh, this ridiculous pod just won't shut up about you. Like, you gotta do something, man. You gotta do something.
Yeah, exactly. So
but
tell Kieran Gillen.
Yes. But I wanted to say more on the team leader thing because, you know, of course, this is X-Men discourse, right? I saw things recently where people are like, well, who do you want to be a team leader in the X-Men, of like the main leader or whatever? And it's like, Scott's had his time. Here's the thing. Scott's not a terrible leader. I'm not a fan of Cyclops. I'm just not. But I'm not going to say that he's the worst leader ever. He's not. There's a reason he's been a leader. He's good at certain things. But his time is done. All right, he needs to go to a farm and just vibe and retire and then just help every once in a while as needed. But, like, he needs to go do that. Okay?
He needs to go help his children.
Facts.
Rachel has been going through a, like, catastrophic issue for, like, the past 2 decades. Does he even
know that Rachel and Betsy are dating? Probably not, because he's not being attentive to his daughter's life. Like, get it together, man.
Scott's the kind of dad whose, like, kid has come out to him, like, 7 times. Like, Rachel's come out to him 7 times. And, like, he's still like, you know, I met a really nice guy yesterday. I got his number for you. And it's like, Dad, have you been paying attention? Dad,
I, like, made out with Betsy, like, the other day. And now we're, like, dating and everything. There were butterflies. It was a whole thing. He's like, butterflies? It's like, Jesus, fuck, don't ask more questions, Dad.
And Scott's like, who's Betsy? And she's like, oh, remember the girl you almost cheated on Mom with like 1,000 times?
Oh,
well, I don't think they ever got that far, but you know.
We gotta do a Rachel episode at some point. This is what happens when we talk about Rachel.
We do have to do a Rachel episode. But I always think of Scott and Betsy when I think of that one Jim Lee panel of like Betsy getting out of the water and Scott's like staring at her, and then Betsy just kind of like gives him a look, and it's like, yes, keep your eyes to yourself, Cyclops. That fucking visor's not hiding shit. I know what you're looking at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was giving him a lot of signals there, like, sir.
Yes, exactly.
But anyways, but my point was that this issue proves why Kurt is to me, the best X-Men leader. Not because of the tactical skills or blah blah or whatever, but because look at what he can do. He knows how to use his resources. He's not the one always like he knows exactly what to do. Like you said, he knows exactly where people need to be. He knows exactly what people to what people to ask to be involved. He knows exactly what's at stake, and nothing is above that. His ego is not above it. His fears for himself are not above it. Whereas like other characters, even at their best, I've seen like Scott, for example, his fears or his insecurities or whatever get the best of him at times. Storm, I think her ego gets the best of her sometimes, even though I adore her. Her ego gets through the roof sometimes. Kurt here, this is why he is the best leader and the most balanced leader in most situations.
I also the whole time he's got a smile on his face, and I think that was purposeful on like Wernick, and I don't know if Gillen put that in notes or if that was something Wernick chose, but he's always like, the world is literally going to end, like everything is crumbling down around you, but like he's smiling. He's like, you know what, we're going to make this work, we're going to do our best, and if our best isn't good enough, at least we know we tried, at least we know we gave it everything we had, rather than, and most characters would be way more serious and way more scared here, but he's not. It has a lot, I think, to do with his faith as well. He's a man of faith. He's a man who's always had a lot of faith and always turned to his faith in his time of need. And I think that this is a perfect example of that. And I think too that the one of the things that his faith helps is the idea of facing off with a false god or false idol. Like he talked about that in Judgment Day, where he's like, this is not my God. This is a false god. I don't believe in this God. And,
I love that too. I love that because we talk, I especially talk about how one thing that bothers me with Kurt and his relationship with religion is that at times he kind of blurs. Like, it gets blurry between him and Exodus. It shouldn't be blurry. Him and Exodus's views on religion are very different, but at times he's almost overzealous. Like, and I hate that. It's like, that's not correct. But in Judgment Day 5, he calls that shit out and says, I'm not a blind follower. I can tell the difference between what I truly believe in and who I do follow when I follow. And I can tell when that's not it. And that carries over in this issue. Like I've been looking for it the entire time I've been talking. And my favorite lines arguably in this issue are, sometimes good people have to get angry. Sometimes good people forget that. And I think that's just such a good rallying cry. Like, you can apply this to so many real life things. You can apply to politics, human rights, trans rights, all this, and like very specific, more specific issues. But that is so important. And I think more people need to read that and say it out loud to themselves and realize, holy shit, he's fucking right. That's why we fight for things. And that's, again, why he is a more balanced leader, because he recognizes the nuance between those things.
Yeah, complacency has never changed the world. Ever. Like, complacency has never changed the world. And it's, I mean, not to get into too much of this conversation, but, one of the big things that people always say when it comes to, when people, the big argument that people have about, rights and protesting for rights and all that stuff is like, well, if you just wait long enough, you'll get the rights you're looking for. And it's like, well, no, that's literally never happened in the history of the world. The history of the world has, the powerful have never turned to the weak and said, you know what? We've been treading on you too long. Here's a right. Here's a couple of rights. That's literally never happened to them. The idea is to keep people complacent so they don't fight for their rights and they don't try, to protest and all that stuff. And that's the thing, is that Kurt gets that. He gets that. He's like, I am angry, and and anger is an important thing that we're going to use. But the thing about anger is that anger can be something that can very easily be distracted. When you're really angry about something, have you ever had an argument where like you're arguing about one specific thing and then suddenly the other person brings up something that happened like 3 years ago and now suddenly you're arguing about that and you never actually get back to the root of the issue?
Yep.
That's like,
that
anger
is the worst thing to do in a fight, y'all. I just, look, we're going off the rails a little bit here, but I have to elaborate on this because it's something that I have to be aware of, because I've done this to other people and it's so bad. And you don't realize how bad it is until somebody does it to you. But yeah, like, dude, when you're arguing, you have to focus. Do not go, oh, but last week you did this. No, what happened then doesn't matter. Like, Oh my god. So yeah, I actually love that.
So,
And Kurt very much is, like you said, he's so good about bringing that energy, and he stays focused this entire time too, because like you said, he is angry as hell, he is frustrated, he has seen the good, and yet somehow humanity has still failed. Can you imagine how just awful that is when you have given so much? He could easily just sit in a corner and feel sorry for himself, but he isn't. He can do that later. He's got things to do, and he even says that when he gets out of the egg. He's like, I don't have time. He put clothes on me, great, but I gotta go. I do this naked if I have to, because we got shit going on.
Kurt, I'd watch you do it naked. So
listen, if we're gonna do the sexual undertones, I gotta say the line that I've had on this page ready to mention at some point in this episode.
Okay, you gotta go.
When he's doing all these flips, because the end of this issue, he's flipping around, he goes to Nimrod, and Moira's also there. So I'm like, oh my god, Nimrod and Moira, like, we're bringing this in this? Oh my god, there's so much happening. But he's flipping around, and he's, he literally flips off Nimrod's head. It's a great acrobatic panel. It's beautiful. Mm-hmm. And it says, fingertips can be enough. And I'm like, yes, they can, Kurt. Yes, they can. Anyways.
Listen, gentlemen out there, take notes. I'm not going to tell the ladies to take notes because we all know already.
I was going to say, gentlemen, listen, it's not just for the sapphics. I mean, listen, we already know, but like, men, you gotta get in on this shit too. Like,
That's it. Exactly. There also was the whole thing about the insertion with Ilyana. We won't get into that as well, but but finally, in the end, Kurt manages to capture Moira to convince her that Orcus needs to help them to defeat this great, it's one of those things where if we don't succeed, the whole world is gone, Moira. So what the hell are you going to do? Are you not going to help us out, or we can fight again after this? But for right now, we need to think about this.
It's so funny because he literally like flies her away in the ship, and she's like, "Oh, fine, let's see if you're right." And then everything explodes, and she's like, "Oh," and he's like, So, don't be such a grump. We're gonna try something new and have a great time. And honestly, I did not have like a low-key like road trip, space trip kind of adventure with Moira and Kurt on my bingo card, but I'm here for it. And I just
that's what the free space is for, girl. That's what the free space is for.
Oh my gosh, look, I have a lot of free spaces for Kurt right now. Anyways, this has been such a good issue. It's just, even like, again, we talked about this before we recorded a whole episode, y'all, but I already am just filled with like such new energy again about this issue, because it's just, this is Kurt. If I need to show anybody like one issue that is just the best depiction of Kurt, both past, present, and future, it's this 100%, issue.
150%. Yes, I totally agree. I do want to bring up one little thing that has bugged me throughout this entire event is like, where the fuck is Wanda? Bitch is like the most powerful being they've got, and it's like they're just sidelining her. She's like, no, guys, I actually requested this week off like 6 months ago.
Maybe she's hopping around different dimensions looking for Nocturne, and that's why Talia's been mentioned.
That's my fucking dream.
Listen, manifest it.
That's my fucking dream. We're gonna manifest it. I'm putting it out to the universe. No. She's definitely like, I actually booked a cruise and it's non-refundable, so I will be at sea. So you guys deal with this shit.
It's you if you could do cruises for fun.
Basically. I don't know what else to say other than what we've said. It's a great issue. It's exactly what he is supposed to be. Everything he's supposed to be. It got me so excited.
It's a Hall of Fame issue.
It totally is.
I still need to get a frame to put it on my wall with my other Purple Kurt books.
It's a great issue, and I gotta tell you, I still have not read Legion of X number whatever it's up to. Still have not read that because like
it's not worth it. Well, honestly, look, spoiler alert, I'm not going to say anything about it because this episode's not about that issue, and I don't really want to talk about that issue anyway, but that's basically it. Like, I read issue 5, and I was like, no wonder everybody's quiet. No wonder we're all talking about this, and I haven't heard a single, not one tweet, not one peep about Legion of X number 5 or 6, whatever it is now. Like,
I downloaded it. I just I haven't read it yet. I haven't had an interest to read it. But because I don't know, I feel like my Kurt cup runneth over with this. So it's like I have no
know.
space for Kurt in. Although I did get a new Kurt tattoo when I was in Vegas. So
I
posted
saw it.
pictures
Looks
of it.
good, girl.
Thank you. It's still a little gunky because it's like healing, but once it's all healed up, I'll post another picture of it. It's actually a companion. So basically, the idea is
the huge one you have.
Yeah, so he's teleporting from my leg to my side, and the tattoo artist actually thought that was like he was like, "That's fucking brilliant. I love that idea." I was like, "Thank you."
You should you could do another one in the future if you do want another one, and have like it teleporting and then Nocturne, so they like teleport to each other.
Well, Nocturne doesn't actually teleport, but
she's gonna hop through the portal with him. Okay, father daughter bam time.
Fair. I gotta be honest. Two Nightcrawler tattoos is enough. Next new tattoo will probably be something different. I'm not like one of those people who has like sleeves and stuff. I'm very like, I've got 5 tattoos. If I have a 6th one day, that's fine. But 2 Nightcrawler tattoos is definitely enough. Is perfect. Maybe a Nocturne tattoo one day. Who knows? I don't know.
I was gonna say, if you get Nocturne, then you need Wanda. So be careful.
Don't joke. I've been thinking about a Wanda tattoo. So, but I just don't know if I want to go all that crazy. But yeah, okay.
We're literally like, what's that word? Swooning. We are swooning over this issue, y'all. That's what this is. The only thing off the top of my head that's a big picture general thing with Kurt that would have been fun to see if it could have worked is him being more like, like specifically flirty with like someone in it. Like he has the swashbuckler flirty side as well, even though he's like, again, he's flirty, but like, he likes his little maiden or something. So it'd be fun if we could have seen a little twist on that in this issue, but there's already so much. Don't throw anything in there that doesn't need to be. Like, come on.
Let's be real. If Kurt and Steve don't have like a line out the door if people want to fuck them after they literally save the world, then I don't know what's wrong with the Marvel Universe. Like, they should both be swimming in it.
Oh, don't get me started on Steve, because I've seen that in the Captain America Sentinel of Liberty, I believe it is, which is the Steve Rogers book, that him and Emma are having a book together. So Emma's gonna be that book with him, and I'm like, if they don't do something with that, I'm going to spiral, because I love them. I think they're a great idea, honestly.
But like, Steve said Emma reminds him of his mother. Remember in the Hellfire Gala?
We all got fucked up shit, Lisa. I mean, if you can honestly tell me that you haven't slept with, been interested in, thought someone was hot, of somebody that has some characteristics that can relate to your parents, I mean, that's amazing.
Okay, we are definitely opening up a Pandora's box here. I feel like we'll
close it and open back up the Kurt box.
Yes. I'm like we're getting into like story time with Lauren. Like, oh, tell us about it.
I'm sorry. This is what happens when I am just so excited. I love this issue. It's great. Everybody pick it up. Great. If you get one Kurt issue this year, unless they do something better, which I doubt in 2 months, this is the one issue to get. Of all the issues we have talked about this year, out of all the new issues, this is the one.
Totally agree. 100%. It is brilliant. It is, again, for Kurt fans, it's everything we've been waiting for the longest time. It reminds me of his days in Excalibur when he was this swashbuckler. Yes. And again, the man always looks on the bright side of life. He always has a smile. He's always like, all right, I might get into a little woo right now, so bear with me for a second. I'm a big believer in the law of attraction. I'm a big believer in, and it's, a lot of people are like, oh, that's silly, right? Why would you believe in that? Well, the way I look at it is this. The law of attraction says that what you do is you ask for something from the universe, and then you expect it, and it is given to you. And the way I look at it is, you can either go through your life expecting things to come your way and being angry when they don't, or you can go through your life expecting things to come your way and being grateful for what does. That's how I feel about it, and that's how I think of Kurt. Kurt knows they have like the slimmest chance to make this work, and he can either decide to be sad and upset and cry and depressed, but he's chosen to be happy and angry at the same time, and he's chosen to like be positive and think positively about it. Because the fact of the matter is, if you have an expectation, or you ask for something, or you want something, and you expect it to turn out well, and you expect it to happen, the worst that's going to happen is it's not going to happen. But at least you were having a good time the whole way, and you were positive, and you thought and you felt good while you were trying to make it happen. If you want something to happen, and then the whole time you just think about how it's not going to happen and it doesn't happen, well, then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So you might as well just be positive.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And honestly, I just want to say to all the, Kurt fans, people listening, all the stuff that were waiting for something that felt like real Kurt, because you weren't feeling it with Legion of X and Way of X. The wait was worth it for this issue. And I
100%.
hope we see a lot more. It may take some time to get him consistently like this, but I am very grateful that, we kept holding out. We kept trying it. Because if we had just given up and said, oh, it's not real Kurt, get out of here, it's garbage, then I would have never known this issue. So,
well, that's it. Exactly. And this was a nice little break from our reread of Nightcrawler from the 2004 series. So
yes.
We'll be getting back to that soon. Don't expect an episode about Legion of X unless I read it and have something to say about it, because Lauren clearly has nothing to say.
I was going to say, I mean, unless something happens next issue, like, or you guys are like, oh my God, we really want you guys to do an episode. Like, you can always tweet at us and let us know if you want us to talk about something in particular. Like, we're always open to suggestions. We love doing different things. But yeah,
and if any of you want to come on and talk about Legion of X, hey, we'll talk about it with you. Absolutely.
The Legion of X roast. That's what's
exactly, the roast of Legion of X. Oh my goodness. Well, thanks everybody for coming and joining us again. Talk about Immortal X-Men. It was fun to do it for a second time. I hope we'll have to do it again, but yes, it was definitely a good time. I mean, listen, I'll talk about Kurt every day, all day. I don't care. I'm always happy to do it.
Again, we're gonna have KurtCon one day. I don't know when, but it's gonna be the Simply Amazing KurtCon. So just keep your eyes out for that.
Could you imagine? Well, there's the X-Men Con coming out next year that we found out about. I'm trying to find out if I can get some time off of work for it, because that will be amazing. And okay, so we're gonna do a live soon. I know we haven't scheduled it yet, but we keep talking about it. But we will schedule it. Watch our Twitter. We are going to be giving away a hand-signed issue #1 of Excalibur by Chris Claremont. So I had Chris Claremont sign an issue of Excalibur for one of our lucky winners. So we're going to do that at our live. So please look out for that. You don't want to miss it. You can find all our socials on our website. We got simplyamazingpod.com. You'll find our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We've got Twitch. We've got YouTube that has nothing on it yet, but we've got lots of stuff, lots of different things. You can find us there. Lauren, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at friendlymBHDBI, and you can check out all my other stuff there. I do a show on Sundays, but I've been doing a lot more with that channel in terms of like comic creator interviews. So if you're really into indie comics, really good place to look. And yeah, just come bother me anytime.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks again for joining us, everybody. And if you have just emerged from an egg and you can barely remember your life before, don't worry. Hope's got you. She's going to back you up, because you are simply amazing.